Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
All right. An hour of OU football and recruiting talk here ahead on Locked In. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton with you as we are every weekday from 2 to 3 p.m. We've already done 2 hours of radio together because Steely is on vacation today. So we're well into the groove at this point, and we're deep into, well, several different conversations that continued throughout the 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock hours. But want to give you guys a little bit of a taste of what's ahead. We are going to welcome Rivals National Recruiting Director Adam Gorney to the show. Second segment of this hour, right about 2:20. He's going to join to discuss the Jaden O'Neal / Bo Bentley quandary. So you want some general input on that whole situation, where it's headed, and also the pros and cons of each quarterback as they fit in the Oklahoma system from somebody that comes from outside the OU market and has an eye on the entire nation. We're going to give you that when we bring Gorney onto the show. The Gorn Dog, as we like to call him, Grayson. This hour of programming here on The Ref, Locked In every single day, is brought to you by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC out in El Reno. Great service advisors out there, fantastic low-pressure sales environment, half-price oil changes on Saturdays, obviously the ultra-reliable Buicks and GMCs. So many reasons to head out to El Reno and do business with Dorsey Jones Buick GMC. So, Grayson, I want to carry over a conversation from last hour, and that is the conversation, and, you know, it's something with which many a texter on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line has agreed. The assessment that Oklahoma doesn't have enough straight-up dudes on the offensive side of the ball at the skill positions. They might not have any straight-up dudes in some folks' estimation. Now, we got a text earlier, and now I lost it, so I can't read exactly what it said. But, oh, no, here it is from Sean. Oklahoma has been almost complete failure at offensive recruiting and development of skill players for 4 straight classes. And I read that, Grayson, and I was mentally running through the list of offensive skill position players that Oklahoma has signed over the last 4 classes. And, I figured, what, let's evaluate that text for its validity. So I'm going to walk you through the skill position signees for Oklahoma over the course of the last 4 recruiting classes, 22, 23, 24, 25. We're going to give a grade of thumbs up, thumbs down, or incomplete. Obviously, I would say for probably the entire 2025 class, we're getting incomplete grades because those guys have only just set foot on campus. So you know what? Let's give Sean the benefit of the doubt. Let's assume he was talking about 21 through 24. So 21 was Lincoln Riley's last class. Let's start there. The offensive skill position players that they signed in that class were, at wide receiver, Jalil Farouk. That gets a thumbs up from me.
Yes, that gets a thumbs up.
I think that's pretty clear, right? Not much of an argument to be made there. Mario Williams and Cody Jackson both transferred from Oklahoma in the aftermath of Lincoln Riley's departure. So don't really know that you can give a satisfactory grade on that. Oklahoma did not sign a running back or a tight end in that class. That was a very scant class for Oklahoma. Now we get into the Brent Venables classes with the class of 2022. Let's run through these. At tight end, Jason Llewellyn.
Didn't do much of anything.
Thumbs down.
Yeah, definitely.
Caden Helms, he was the other tight end in the class. He gets an incomplete grade. He's been injured for the overwhelming majority of the time that he's been in Norman. So, incomplete grade there. At wide receiver, Jaden Gibson, incomplete, certainly. We haven't really seen what he's capable of when he is featured in the Oklahoma offense. And, that the concern you have is, will he ever be the same player post-injury that he was pre-injury when he showed such promise for OU in 2023? Nick Anderson, man, I know that's a divisive one. I think Nick Anderson gets a thumbs up from me simply because when he was available at Oklahoma, he produced. You saw what he was capable of in 2023 when he was a freshman All-American. 10 touchdown catches, almost 800 receiving yards. And yes, he was hurt throughout the whole 2024 season, and I know you'll never be able to talk some people out of the theory that he was holding out. But Grayson, as far as I'm concerned, Oklahoma hit on Nick Anderson, and Emmett Jones developed him. Do you have any argument to that?
Nope, not one bit. That is a slam dunk thumbs up. It's not Oklahoma's fault that he had an injury-plagued 2024 and then transferred. No. When you had him, you did work with him. That's a thumbs up.
So, running back. Javonte Barnes, Gavin Sawchuk. I don't know what you make of either of those guys' careers because they've been so inconsistent. And the highs have been really high, and the lows have been really low. Javonte Barnes has 1 year of eligibility left. Gavin Sawchuk has 2. It feels weird, for one guy who's a senior, the other who's a redshirt junior, to still be rendering an incomplete verdict there, but I feel like that's almost what you have to do.
And I think
you certainly can't say based on some of the good things that they've done that gets a thumbs down, but also you can't say based on some of the low points that you can give it a thumbs up.
I think you can give it a thumbs down because this has gone on for so long. You mentioned Javonte Barnes has 1 year of eligibility left, 2 left for Gavin Sawchuk. Because they've been so inconsistent in terms of performance, but they've also been inconsistent in terms of availability too. And it's not as if this is through a freshman and a sophomore year or 1 year and then a redshirt freshman year. You've exhausted some eligibility, and you've been through it with some of these guys. So because of that, I think you can give it a thumbs down.
That's fair. It's a different way of looking at things, but, I concede that is fair. Now we get to the 2023 class. And, Grayson, this is a wasteland.
Oh, boy.
I believe we touched on this earlier this week, more broadly, but let's run through the skill position signees in that group, the 2023 recruiting cycle. Keon Brown never made it to campus. The 4-star wide receiver from Tallahassee did not qualify academically. So, thumbs down easily. The other wide receiver signee was Jacquez Petaway. Thumbs down all the way.
Big thumbs down.
I to this day cannot fathom how it didn't work out for that guy at OU because they were so excited about him. I mean, you saw him on the field in meaningful situations as recently as last year, but he never made an impact. When he was out there, he was doing cardio for the most part. He had 1 catch against Tennessee that belongs on a highlight reel somewhere. I think Michael Hawkins hit him for like 46 yards in the fourth quarter of that Tennessee game. That was probably the high points of Jacquez Petaway's Oklahoma career. Mm-hmm. That's a thumbs down. Your 2 running back signees, Caleb Hicks and Dalen Smothers. Thumbs down and thumbs down. Agree?
I have nothing to add to that. And to make the Caleb Hicks matter worse, he transferred to Stillwater.
Yes, he did. The one skill position guy that I think you can fairly say gets an incomplete grade right now is Cade McIntyre, who was the lone tight end signee.
Yes, agreed.
He still has 3 years of eligibility left, and he's been hampered by injuries, so we haven't really gotten to see what he's been able to do yet. The 2024 class, this, again, is a fresh one. These guys have only been on campus a year, but let's see how we feel about these ones. Taylor Tatum, you lean more in the direction of thumbs down than thumbs up at this point. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
He's got to hold on to the football. Otherwise, he's just never going to see the field at Oklahoma. You've got to hold on to the football, and that was a major bugaboo for Taylor Tatum last year. Xavier Robinson gets a thumbs up, though. That's a winner.
Hell yeah. I mean, what are we project? We're projecting him to be RB1 this year. Yeah, absolutely, he gets a thumbs up.
The lone tight end signee of the 2024 class was Devon Mitchell.
Oh, boy.
We know how that one ended.
Oh, boy.
Thumbs down. Let's roll through these receivers. Zion Kearney, Zion Reagans, Ivan Carrion, KJ Daniels. I'm going to go ahead and give KJ Daniels a thumbs down right now. And, in fact, I think I would probably give Zion Reagans a thumbs down. Zion Kearney and Ivan Carrion, incomplete. Feels like you got something with those two, long-term. Long-term feels like those two could be players. Zion Reagans and KJ Daniels, the big concern there, Grayson, is just the stature, right? They're both 5'8".
Yeah.
And on the south side of 160 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can you do anything with that in the SEC?
Unless you are a Ryan Williams type guy. I'm trying to think of somebody who's been, Xavier Worthy. I hate to use a Texas analogy, but Xavier Worthy is a guy with a really, really, really slight frame. I think they had to bulk him up to the 170, 175 that he's at with Kansas City. But unless you're a guy with that sort of a skill set, I don't really know what you can do with all that, because, you can't run them over the middle. They'll get broken in half. So that's a quandary that will take some people who are a lot more qualified than me to figure out.
Eric in the OC on the text line asks, weren't we still trying to bring Keon Brown back, or did he never qualify academically at JUCO? It's really, really hard not to qualify academically for junior college. He did make it to the JUCO ranks, had a couple of productive seasons there. There was some talk that maybe Oklahoma would engage with him, but they didn't. There might have been some very surface-level conversations there, if I recall correctly, but Oklahoma never seriously pursued him. Not at all clear where he's going to play in 2025. It won't be the University of Oklahoma, though. Unless I guess maybe like Emmett Jones does have the relationship there, right? So maybe, just maybe, and he wasn't the one who initially recruited Keon Brown. That would have been Cale Gundy and LaDamian Washington, but Keon Brown, while he was signed to the University of Oklahoma, that was right about the same time that Emmett Jones joined the staff. He joined in January of 2023. So there's a relationship there between Emmett and Keon Brown. I guess if Oklahoma wanted to go that route out of necessity in the spring portal window, they could, but probably unlikely. Chonky Chuck asks, why the honk did Caleb Hicks never get a shot, and what's the reason for only one tight end in consecutive classes? I can't speak to the Caleb Hicks thing. There are some individual situations over the last few years, and Caleb Hicks and Jacquez Petaway certainly spring to mind. I can't really explain why it didn't work for those guys. I never heard anything particularly damning about off-field issues for those guys or on-field issues for those guys, but for one reason or another, they were never able to crack the rotation at their respective positions. The reason for only one tight end in consecutive classes was because Oklahoma put a lot of eggs in the Devon Mitchell basket. And Grayson, that's a big part of the reason why the tight end group is where it is today, because Oklahoma naturally, right, counted on Devon Mitchell to be the next big thing at that position for the Sooners. They were certainly not ill-advised to do so. Every program in the country wanted Devon Mitchell. He was viewed as close to a can't-miss prospect, and the whole experiment wound up being a colossal whiff. So I don't know what you can do about that. It's unfortunate that it happened, but that's part of the reason why Oklahoma's kind of in between a rock and a hard place right now when it comes to tight end depth.
It's part of the reason. I don't think I don't think it's the majority of the reason, but it has something to do with it. Yes,
it does. Because, well, and I know for a fact, like Oklahoma wanted to take two tight ends in the 2024 class. They did. But they did not want to take two tight ends, or I should say they did not want to take a second tight end if it jeopardized their chances of signing Devon Mitchell. So it was basically two tight ends or Devon Mitchell.
Yeah.
They opted for Devon Mitchell. It's a very reasonable, understandable decision at the time that looks like a gross miscalculation with the benefit of hindsight. Somebody in the 405.
I was about to read the same one.
And Mitchell ate the eggs in the basket.
That is horrible.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm not going to lie. Well done.
Chris from Knoxville says, so Jim Nagy needs to bring in some dudes is what this exercise is telling us, ? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, to come full circle with that original text from Sean and that whole conversation, I think it's fair to say that Oklahoma's returns on high school recruits from the years 2021 through 2024 have been less than expected. Not a total bust by any means, but all in all, we're talking comprehensively about those 4 classes and the sum of the parts. You haven't gotten out of that group what you thought you were going to get out of that group. And it's the reason why there are so many transfers right now on Oklahoma's roster at the skill positions. I mean, if you run through it, there are transfers all over the place in that wide receiver room. There are transfers all over the place in that tight end room. Running back, I guess it's less of a common denominator. Sam Franklin is the only scholarship transfer, at least off the top of my head. But those 3 skill position groups, rife with transfer acquisitions, because Oklahoma has simply needed to make transfer acquisitions. No two ways about it. They have needed to make transfer acquisitions at those spots over the last few years with regularity. Okay, as I teased at the top of the show, Adam Gorney, National Recruiting Director for Rivals.com, is going to join us on the other side to discuss Jaden O'Neal, Bo Bentley, and some other key Oklahoma targets in the 2026 class. We'll welcome the Gorn Dog to the show coming up. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
USA at conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma's huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Hi folks, this is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like Boys to Men, April 18th. America, April 26th. Patti LaBelle, May 2nd. And Scotty McCreery, May 10th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience. Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like Boys to Men, April 18th. America, April 26th. Patti LaBelle, May 2nd. And Scotty McCreery, May 10th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
The Ref is the home of Sooner fans and is once again your home for chaos. Every game-changing hit.
Long fly ball to left. Track. Whoa. Gone.
Every strikeout.
Got him. Swinging.
Every defensive gem.
He caught it. He caught it.
Every game. All year. The Ref has you covered.
Catch Sooner Baseball as they host Bandy this Friday at 7, Saturday at 4, and Sunday at 2 on the Ref and the K-Ref app.
OU softball, baseball, and gymnastics offer great opportunities for you to get out for some exciting action and support your Sooners. Going to an OU event or game? Balfour of Norman on Campus Corner invites you to stop by and get some new OU gear. Whether it's a softball jersey with your favorite player or just a new lucky shirt or hat to wear to the game, Balfour has everything you need to be in style and showing your colors. Cheer for the Sooners in the best and newest styles in Sooner sportswear. Locally owned for more than 45 years, Balfour continues to be Sooner fans' favorite OU store and has everything you need. Balfour has the latest styles and fashion trends for men, women, and children. You can find something for every Sooner fan. When it comes to hats, they have you covered with more than 100 styles to choose from. Even OU socks, so you're literally covered from head to toe. Graduation is right around the corner. They have OU diploma frames in stock. Or you can always get a gift card so they can choose the perfect gift for themselves. Come see us on the corner or shop online at crimsonproud.com, where you will find everything Sooner.
For decades, Moore Norman Tech has been training skilled and dedicated individuals, giving clear career paths to hundreds of graduates a year. These passionate individuals are the heartbeat of the Oklahoma workforce, serving thousands of companies that fuel this state's economy. Individuals like you. Here's to the next generation of entrepreneurs, craftsmen, and go-getters who will shape the future of this state. Oklahoma is powered by Career Tech.
Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton here with you, talking football and recruiting here on Locked In. You're listening to the Ref Sports Radio Network. Thanks to all of you that are interacting with this show on a regular basis via the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. And now, on the Riverwind Casino hotline, we welcome in National Recruiting Director Adam Gorney of Rivals.com and Yahoo Sports. And, Adam, obviously the primary reason I wanted to bring you on today was to discuss the whole Jaden O'Neal, Bo Bentley predicament from so many different angles, and I want to dive into that in just a second. But first, you live out in California, and so we got to get your take on the story that's sweeping the college football world right now, which is former California five-star prospect Nico Iamaleava, who's now the starting quarterback at the University of Tennessee, apparently holding out for more money from the Volunteers. It's turned into a standoff. He missed practice this morning. Is this just kind of another sign of the times? Is this another big step towards an increasingly boundary-free world of NIL across college football?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting story, and let's just say currently the starting quarterback at Tennessee. We'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a very interesting day. He missed practice today. Tomorrow is the spring game. I've heard that maybe he won't show up for it. We'll see. We'll see how this all plays out, and then go from there. I've traded some text messages with someone close to him this morning. There is a feeling that, Tennessee hasn't really been talking to him, and the collective hasn't been talking to him for a few months as they've possibly tried to renegotiate. These stories are always very strange, though, and I would caution your listeners on what you're hearing on social media, just in the sense that each side is sort of trying to drive their own agenda here. Tennessee has a side, the collective has a side, the family probably has a side of what's going on here. And so if he signed an NIL deal worth $2 million a year, and the market has changed to $4 million a year as an SEC starting quarterback, just like every coach in the country renegotiates their deal after anything from GPAs being raised or winning an SEC championship or whatever it might be. he has every right to do that as well. So there are definitely a lot of different angles to this story right now. Where the truth lies, probably somewhere in the middle. But this weekend is going to be very interesting because if he doesn't show up, I was told that he's pretty PO'd about what's going on right now. And so if he doesn't show up to that game tomorrow, this might be a sort of dislocation from both sides.
Adam, I was about to just go ahead and cut right to the Jaden O'Neal, Bo Bentley case, but since you brought up that last point, I want to ask you this, man. Because coaches will renegotiate their contracts for any little shred of positivity that happens during a season, and that's just been accepted as normalcy, Nico Iamaleava was certainly not special, but he was really good. And Tennessee was 10-2 in the regular season and made an appearance in the college football playoff. Because of the positivity that he was a part of when it comes to Tennessee's performance, why do you think people are having such a visceral reaction when players do the exact same thing that coaches do?
Yeah, I think that people have just been conditioned for coaches to do it. It's been happening for so long, but really has been ramped up in the NIL era and maybe a little bit before that for coaches to do something like this. And, I've been in this for a long time, and I know exactly how coaches work. Like, literally anything, even if it's not a good season, they get their agents out there getting more money from everybody, trying to get their name mentioned in coaching carousels, trying to get onto hot boards. All of those things are, like, realistic. So some AD there, some desperate AD who's also trying to save his job and save his neck, says, hey, we can't lose this guy or that guy. I mean, there are coaches, and I'm not going to name names, but that are infamous for this. Like, just think about after this season which names keep popping up on coaching carousels. Mike Gundy for years was one of these guys. He was always going to Tennessee.
Yep.
He's always going here. He's always going there. James Franklin is always going to the NFL. He's going to LSU. He wants the LSU. Why do you think that happens? That happens so those ADs pony up more money. So when players do the same thing, the people pay big money. The TV contracts pay big money for the players. When they do the same thing, there seems to be this reaction of, oh, the kid is greedy or the kid doesn't deserve it or whatever. Tell me which coach out there deserves $10 million a year, and the player, the quarterback, deserves $2 million. So I've always been on the side of fine. I don't care if coaches do this. It's their prerogative to try to get as much money and squeeze as much money as they can. But I've really been on the side of players for decades have been screwed by the NCAA and these schools. They're finally trying to get what they deserve, and they're still not paid enough. So I've always been on the side of players being able to have this value as well. You talk about team camaraderie, you talk about this and that. This past off season has been terrible, for coaches, the coaching carousel. It wasn't as big. Look at 2 years ago. You're talking about over 30 coaches leaving, programs and those kinds of things. They love to talk about family. They love to talk about everybody's in this together. But the second an extra dime is given to them somewhere else, they start the negotiation process.
Adam Gorney, National Recruiting Director at Rivals.com and Yahoo Sports, is our guest on the Riverwind Casino Jackpot line. And, Adam, look, anybody who covers recruiting on a national spectrum, has to do an insane amount of work. I know you do. You do an outstanding job just staying up to date and staying informed on so many of the top prospects across the country, across multiple classes at once. And I know particularly when we're talking about quarterbacks, I mean, this is the position where naturally I think we, whether we're conscious of it or not, spend more time watching the quarterbacks than any other position group on the field because the quarterbacks are touching the ball on every single snap. So here in Oklahoma, there's a predicament right now, obviously. Jaden O'Neal, a California transplant to the state of Oklahoma, is committed to the Sooners here in the 2026 class. However, despite holding the pledge from O'Neal, the Sooners are still pursuing four-star Salina, Texas quarterback Bo Bentley, who's uncommitted and down to a final three of OU, LSU, and Georgia. Before we dig into the nuances of the whole situation that encompass both of their recruitments. Independent of one another, can you just kind of give us your slant on those two as prospects and how they mesh with what Oklahoma's going to try to do offensively under the direction of Ben Arbuckle?
I think we lost Adam Parker.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we lost him.
Man. Well, that's brutal.
I think. Hold on. This might be him getting back on. So
okay, I'll get a quick word in for Riverwind Casino, real quick, which is where I'm at out here off of I-35 and Highway 9, the Metro's premier gaming destination. Almost 3,000 electronic games, table games, bars, and dining options, plus the best live music in the Metro. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. Do we have Adam back?
Yes, we do.
Okay, wonderful. Adam, I'm sorry we lost you there. Not sure what happened. I don't know what all you heard of what I said, but just to kind of give you the short and sweet version, give us your slants on Jaden O'Neal and Bo Bentley as prospects and how each one kind of individually meshes with what Oklahoma wants to do offensively under Ben Arbuckle's direction.
Physical. He's just a much more interesting prospect in terms of physicality. When you see the trick about O'Neal, though, that gets a little tough is that there are times in games where the processing doesn't come together. When you see him in 7-on-7, when you see him in camp settings, he is definitely phenomenal. You think, wow, this is one of the better quarterbacks in the country. But there are times in games where that processing doesn't click. Now, you move on to Bentley, where he's not that impressive physically. He's, 6'1", something like that. Doesn't really come off as like this phenomenal athlete, but in games makes tons of plays and then has looked sharp this offseason. Not someone who's going to blow you away physically, but someone who's going to get the job done and really kind of just move the offense and do the things that Oklahoma is going to want to do. The ball is going to move in Arbuckle's offense. I mean, he's done it for years. He proved it at Washington State. I mean, that's not going to be the issue. The issue is like the handling of these two situations. It gets more awkward because Jaden O'Neal moved to Mustang, Oklahoma to prepare himself to play at Oklahoma. And so, I've been told that, by people close to him that, if they take a second quarterback, they would certainly not be thrilled about that. They feel that every top class in the country has only taken one this recruiting cycle, so why would they take two? I've also been told that Oklahoma's going to kind of do what they're going to do. So if they really can get Bentley, they would take him and then, either manage through the O'Neal stuff or kind of move on from him. So O'Neal has been taking visits. He was at Florida State, Auburn. I think there are a handful of other schools that will get involved as the quarterback dominoes go. So they are certainly different as recruits, but both offer something pretty special.
In terms of how Oklahoma has gone about this, and it's been strange to me from the jump, what are the odds, Adam, even if they're slim, what are the odds that both Bo Bentley and Jaden O'Neal are in the same class with the University of Oklahoma when this thing is all said and done?
Yeah, I would be surprised if both are in. The sense is that from the people that I talk to, and I'm much closer to the O'Neal side, he's from out here. I know, like, all the people involved. I would be surprised if he's going to go to a place that's going to take a second quarterback, especially since he has been committed. And kind of here's the situation. You commit early. You lock in. The quarterback situation was bungled beyond belief this past season. You stay locked. You are loved up. You stay locked in through an offensive coordinator change, transfer quarterback coming in. You're staying locked in, and then all of a sudden this second quarterback starts getting recruited. So, I mean, how would you sort of feel in a situation like that? I can completely understand that you feel like you're being over-recruited a little bit or, and every quarterback is going to say, there's going to be competition and all that kind of stuff. But all of these factors, were in play, and now all of a sudden a second quarterback is in play. So I understand that, and I also understand that every time he goes to Florida State or Auburn or whatever else, they're telling him that they love him the most and that he's the only quarterback on the board, and that's not the case, seemingly at Oklahoma. What would be really interesting is, Georgia and LSU are hardly slouches, and Bo Bentley is involved in both of those schools too. So if Bentley makes the decision to go elsewhere, how does O'Neill still feel about that? Would he lock in further and sort of and convince himself and be convinced that he was the guy all along? Or would he say, wait a second, I was the guy, they didn't get Bentley, and now they're loving up on me. So it is definitely an interesting game that Oklahoma is playing here, and sort of, an unnecessary one if they weren't willing to move on from Jaden O'Neill.
And, the follow-up to that is the nightmare scenario that you just brought up, is if Bo Bentley ends up at an LSU and Jaden O'Neill is still ticked off because of their pursuit of Bo Bentley, even though he was already committed. So when you bring up something like that, it makes me ask this question. In light of what's going on, is the relationship between Jaden O'Neill and Oklahoma in a place where if Bo Bentley decided, hey, I'm going to go to LSU, that they can reconcile this whole thing and still keep Jaden O'Neill in tow?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think that the relationship has been, burned beyond belief. But I will tell you that people are not super thrilled that Oklahoma is openly pursuing Bo Bentley. But I do think it can be reconciled. Now, nightmare scenario, in this world of college football, the transfer portal, you could have Nico Iamaleava in the transfer portal by Wednesday, so it's not exactly like there aren't going to be options to fill the Jaden O'Neill or Bo Bentley spot, probably with a massive upgrade with how just recruiting works now. I mean, you can really sort of sell out on some relationships just knowing that quarterbacks are going to be available to you, and you have the NIL dollars to back it up. If Nico is asking for $4 million a year, and Oklahoma is in a tight spot because they kind of blew it with 2 high school kids, I think that they would certainly happily make that trade. So I don't think there's really any nightmare scenario in college football anymore, just in recruiting, just because you have this whole entire second layer of players, some with a lot of experience now on the market that can solve those problems very quickly. But I would say yes, if Bentley goes to LSU or Georgia, O'Neill would be again locked in as QB1, and I think he would be perfectly fine with that.
Will it be Jaden O'Neill? Will it be Bo Bentley? Will it be both? Will it be neither? No doubt all 4 options are still on the table for Oklahoma, and we'll have to see how it all unwinds over the next several months. Adam Gorney, National Recruiting Director for Rivals.com, has been our guest throughout this segment on the Riverwind Casino Jackpot Line. Adam, we will let you get back to your Friday. Thanks so much for your insights, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
See you guys.
All right, that is Adam Gorney via the Riverwind Casino Jackpot Line. The Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line is popping off with people's opinions. I want to get to some of your texts on the other side. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We're back to wrap up Locked In on the other side. Keep it right here on the home of Sooner fans, the Ref Sports Radio Network.
This is your home for Sooner fans, the Ref Sports Radio Network.
Looking for a trusted, locally owned and operated roofing company in Oklahoma? Black Thunder Roofing is a top-rated Home Advisor Elite Service Award winner and recipients of multiple Angie Superior Service Awards. They can do it all. Black Thunder also does free inspections and estimates. Locally operated in Norman and Edmond, Black Thunder Roofing serves OKC's metro area south to Purcell, Noble, Blanchard, as well as Yukon, Mustang, Bethany, and Piedmont. Visit blackthunderroofing.com or call 405-473-8028 for your free estimate today. today. Looking for a fun and adventurous way to spend the summer? Join the Sooner Theater for an unforgettable summer camp experience. The Sooner Theater has 2-week, half-day sessions for students entering kindergarten through 6th grade. Whether your child loves acting, dancing, singing, or magic, these camps have something for everyone. With sessions in June and July, your child can explore creativity, make new friends, and have a blast performing on stage for friends and family. Don't miss out. Sign up now for a summer full of fun and adventure through the performing arts. Visit SoonerTheater.org to learn more and register today.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler Standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
We all play a role in keeping our communities safe. Oklahoma is no stranger to attacks. It's now easier than ever. If you see something, say something. The free and anonymous Protect OK app allows instant reporting of suspicious activity, both in schools and the community. You can help keep your family and friends safe.
Protect OK.
Protect OK.
Protect OK.
Protect OK.
Download the Protect OK app today in the Apple App or Google Play stores. Funded by the Oklahoma Office of Homeland Security.
Hey, all you electricians out there. Are you unhappy with your job? Ever feel like some employers see you as just a name on a time card instead of a human being? Well, at Wade Electric, they're a third-generation family-owned company serving the Norman and Oklahoma City area for over 50 years. They value their employees and want to help them succeed and enjoy their career in the electrical field. If you are unsatisfied with your current situation and are ready to make a change, call Wade Electric at 405-329-1940 to hear about their benefits and learn how to join the team.
Are you in need of purchasing your own health insurance? Are you turning 65 and confused about Medicare? Are you an employer looking at offering benefits to your staff? Call the agents at Allison Insurance. They'll sort through the confusion. They're not captive to just one company, and they'll get the best option for you. Don't get frustrated. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
The Mont invites you to come by and enjoy our high-quality food and drinks in our historic atmosphere. The Mont has won numerous awards, including Best Restaurant in Norman, Best Appetizer for our great queso, Best Exotic Drink for the original swirl, the Best Patio Dining for our beautifully landscaped patio. Come see the Town Tavern OU football scoreboards dating back to 1947. We'll see you at the Mont on the corner of Boyd and Classen, or call us at 329-3330.
We got one segment to the weekend, folks. Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton here with you, wrapping up Locked In here in the 2 o'clock hour on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Coming up at 3 o'clock, Machine Gun McComas and Teddy Lehman take over for a Friday edition of The Rush. Until then, we're hitting your texts on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. And Grayson, I want to give you the opportunity to address this text from CJ Sooner in Florida, because we began the show, not this show, but we began the 12 o'clock hour long ago discussing the Nico Iamaleava situation at Tennessee. CJ Sooner in Florida said just moments ago, Grayson, you still haven't answered how Nico outperformed his existing deal. So what have you to say in response to CJ Sooner in Florida's text?
First of all, there's a lot of text that I hope we can get to because, man, y'all got some thoughts and I've got some answers for it. But to this particular text, number one, keep back in mind what I said at the top of the 12 o'clock hour. I didn't say that Nico outperformed. what he was currently making. I said that if Tennessee was coming into Nico and saying, hey, yo, we want you to take less money, that would have been off base. I think Nico performed commensurate to what he needed to do, and that also translates to team success as well. You were in the national championship conversation as a part of the 12-team playoff. You won 10 regular season games. Only 4 other SEC teams did that. You had a solid QBR as well. Your touchdown to interception ratio was 19-5. The 19, that doesn't blow you away. The 5, you did a good job taking care of the football. So, does Nico need to be going to them asking for more money? I said this in the first hour. No. Nico Iamaleava is not due for some seismic raise. But if Tennessee is the one, which this certainly doesn't seem to be the case now, given the new reporting that we talked about in the 12 o'clock hour, if Tennessee was the one that was saying, hey, take less money, they would have been out of bounds for that, given how Nico performed. I thought Nico performed commensurate to what he was making.
Okay. Now that you've addressed that, what text do you want to hit next? You said you had a whole bunch lined up.
Man, there was
Where do you want to go from here?
Man. Let's go to 832 Mike. This guy sounds like a typical West Coast human. I don't know what the hell that means. He's an idiot.
He's referring to Gorney.
Yes, he's talking about Gorney. Yes. He's an idiot. The coaches are grown men and women that have paid their dues and have earned the right to ask for raises when doing a good job. These kids don't deserve anything outside of a guaranteed education and dollar signs from signatures, etc. They are not employees, and if they want to be, then sign multi-year contracts and stick around for more than a year. Your last part, I think, is spot on. Make them sign contracts if they're going to be employees. Here's what I'm going to ask all of you, and I think this might resonate with you guys, particularly in the state of Oklahoma. Why do we isolate collegiate athletes and not let them participate in the capitalistic society of America? Why is that a problem? Because everybody else in any other kind of profession can work for the school and generate money for the school and be compensated as such. I worked for the school in a broadcasting respect when I was a junior and senior. Why all of a sudden are athletes the one that we have such a problem with them getting compensated for their work? I've never understood why the rules of capitalism all of a sudden stop with this segment of people. And a text like that, when you say they don't deserve anything, hell yeah they do. Because they're the ones that have turned this into the multi-billion-dollar business this is. It's not the coaches, because we don't go pack the stands. We don't make it appointment television to go see the coaches. Not saying the coaches shouldn't make millions of dollars. They absolutely should make their multi-million dollars that they should. But it's the players who get themselves battered and bruised that we go to see, that we make appointment television. And you're over here saying, no, they don't deserve to be compensated for that labor. Why? So I've yet to ever hear a logical, intelligent reason why the rules of capitalism should not apply to them. And I think that addresses probably 2 or 3 other texts that came in while Gorney was answering my question as to why people have such a visceral reaction to players wanting to be compensated. It makes no damn sense to me.
It's a very nuanced conversation. The one text that we've gotten repeatedly since you began that diatribe, which I thought you made some excellent points therein. There were people that said, well, they're getting their education paid for. Okay. And that's certainly true. I think here's what it comes down to. It's the scrutiny of performance, right? Mm-hmm. What is the one thing that so many people across this state and across the country are more personally and emotionally invested in outside of their own family? It's their sports teams. And certainly in this state, it's the Oklahoma Sooners, the preeminent college football team within state lines. I think they did the statistics a few years back, like 78% of the state of Oklahoma roots for the Sooners, right? And so when you feel an emotional attachment to that logo, to that university, to that football product, I think as a fan, there's a natural inclination to want to kick back against it when there's a player that's doing something the likes of which Nico Iamaleava and his camp at Tennessee are doing, which is holding out for even more money from the institution when they're already, in all likelihood, and I don't know what the exact figures are at Tennessee, but odds are he's making significantly more, probably at least twice as much more than anybody else on the roster. So I think when you have that level of emotional investment as a fan in a school and a logo and a brand, what you're going to see when a student athlete does something like that is that they're putting their own needs before the needs of their program. And I think there are a lot of people that just struggle to put themselves in the shoes of an individual like that because in their minds, the program always comes first, right? But it's different if you're actually in those shoes and you're living the life of that individual. So, look, I think we could talk for hours about all of this. And maybe some point this offseason we will. But that's the gist of it. I think in a lot of people's heads, I mean, this is the reason why you get so many hot takes when we're talking recruiting about a player that's maybe waffling with his commitment to Oklahoma. You'll get fans say, well, if they don't want to be here, get him out of there. You're not a true Sooner. And that's the standpoint that a lot of people have. You know, if you're not 10 toes down for this logo, this institution, then get out of here because you don't belong. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that's how a lot of people look at it. Eric in the OC says it's not the player's fault that the system in place is flawed and lacks the proper structure. The players are just playing the game, and it's up to the powers that be to change the structure and add more guidelines for how the players earn their money. If nothing else, Grayson, I think this whole Iamaleava holdout, if that's what you want to call it, it's going to help accelerate the process of developing some additional structure to all of this, because I guarantee you, other schools across the country, as they're watching this very public tiff between Iamaleava and Tennessee that can only really end poorly at this point, they're thinking, man, we don't want to have to deal with this. This is a PR nightmare and a half. This is a financial nightmare and a half. This is a football nightmare and a half. Let's get some sort of system in place such that we don't have to deal with what Tennessee's dealing with right now, ever.
Oh, I mean, that is more than fair. And the reason this whole thing has spiraled out of control is not the coach's fault, it's not the university's fault, it's not the player's fault, it's the NCAA. And whoever is supposed to set guidelines to all of this. But the reality of the situation still remains is that for some reason, people weigh the players differently than they weigh everything else when it comes to society. But I mean, the whole reason we have these spirited conversations like we do is because there are no guidelines. And I know everybody on the text line's response to me is they're getting their scholarship and their food paid for and all of that. With what they generate, come on now. We know that isn't even, that's not commensurate. Come on now. I don't even know why people still even go to that argument.
Well, we don't have nearly enough time to unpack all the different angles of this conversation.
No, we don't.
You guys are actively exploring right now on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. However, as we tie a bow on this show and this week of shows here on the Ref, and get ready to turn things over to Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman on the other side of the break as they buckle down for the rush from 3 to 6 p.m., I do want to give a shout-out to one of our regular listeners and regular texters on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, and that is Brian in Bixby, who informed us last hour that he passed the bar exam today.
Yo!
Brian in Bixby.
Let's go!
Well done, and congratulations to you, sir. Love to hear that.
Let's go, man.
I think all of us, we all have at least one person in our lives, if not multiple, that has had to deal with the preparation process that comes with the bar exam, and then, of course, taking the exam, and then the waiting process thereafter to see whether or not you passed. So to hear that you came out in the clear, that you passed, that you're good to go, and that you don't have to ever worry about all of that again, man, that's a big achievement in life. Congratulations, Brian. We celebrate with you on this Friday. I almost just had a coughing fit to close out the show. Thankfully, I was able to stave it off. Hopefully, it remains the case for another 20 seconds. That's it for us. That's it for me from out here at Riverwind Casino on this Friday. Teddy Lehman and Tyler McComas are up next. The Rush kicking off on the other side. Keep it right here on the home of Sooner fans, The Ref.